And we are back with another one, previewing Colorado and USC. If you guys have been watching the channel, you guys know this is one where I've been talking about USC potentially being upset. And today we're going to break it down. But I got a special guest joining us today, and it's David that talks college or Colorado Buffs, right?
David
Tell
talks
everybody
Buffs.
where they can find you. Tell them about your channel.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, Preston. Yeah, you can find me. I'm David. You can find me on X, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify. It's just David Talks Buffs. Same handle everywhere. But I'm talking Buffs every day. Hey, there we go.
All right. Sounds good. There you go. See, some people tune into me, but then they realize there's actually content creators that push out Colorado content every day. I kind of pushed out a couple teams, so you kind of gonna have to pick and through and find all the videos. But we got to talk about this USC and Colorado game because it's an 11 a.m. game. I believe big noon kickoffs there this week.
Correct.
Again, they're going to milk that as much as they possibly can. First year of Coach Prime. But you got USC rolling in at 4-0. Colorado coming off their first loss against Oregon. A pretty just... It was an embarrassing loss. I mean, we expected Colorado to put up a little bit more of a fight than what they did, but
indeed,
I mean, Oregon's just a really, really good team, and the Pac-12 is really good this year. So, but USC, they're going to have a challenge, and one of the things that I've really talked about with this game is the elevation change and how quick both offenses and defenses, well, specifically USC's defense likes to run, having Alex Grinch formerly here at Oklahoma. I understand how the speed D works and how quickly a Lincoln Riley offense runs. With that elevation change, you would expect that's going to be a factor in USC not being able to get these guys as much rest or quickly rest them on the bench like they normally would. So it's going to be a challenge for Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans, and I think it's one that Coach Prime, Sean Lewis, they're ready to throw in front of them. But I kind of want to hear your thoughts, your initial thoughts around this game and kind of what you expect the outcome might be.
All right. Well, this is a funny game for us, Preston, because I'll just preface my breakdown with this. Right now, my Buffs are 0-16 all time against USC. It is so important for us to get this upset. Like, I just want to get to 1-16, before we send them off into the Big Ten and all that. In my preseason prediction, this was a game that I did have the Buffs losing. Not to say that there's not some things that could go in our favor, not to say that there's not things that, we can do effectively in order to get an upset. But in order to do that, we're going to have to play our cleanest football game, our most complete football game that we've seen yet today by far. And when you're talking about the elevation and the game time, this is something that could kind of help the Buffs pull off this upset because USC, like you said, they're not used to this sort of elevation. We're about 5,300 feet, a little bit north of that, above sea level, a little bit more than where you would find Denver sitting at, 5,280 mile high. And the other thing is that USC has played in a lot of these evening time slots so far, afternoon, evening. Last week was their first road game against Arizona State. And as you know, that was Pac-12 after dark. Now they're coming in having to play a game with their body clock at 9 a.m., Pacific time. CU's used to this time slot. We've played in this 10 a.m. Mountain Time time slot 3 games now. This will be our 3rd game. Yes, because it was TCU, Nebraska, and now USC. So this is something that we do have. We are comfortable doing. And I'm going to be interested to see when the team flies out here because Nebraska flew out here Friday, late Friday morning. And that just was not enough time to get acclimated. I don't think, when CU really started pulling away in that second half. I mean, again, I don't think it's a coincidence. You're taking less than 24 hours in altitude and then you're going to play. You're going to gas out a little bit quicker than, the Buffs. So that could be something that works out in the Buffs' favor. But man, we definitely have a challenge ahead of us. And if we can show some improvement in some areas, I think we could, definitely pull off the upset. But again, it's going to take us playing better than we played all year.
No, 100% agree there. And I think one of the biggest things you have to look at is how much this USC team is going to rely on Caleb Williams to be able to not only throw the ball, to be able to use his feet. I get it. They've got Lloyd coming in from South Carolina, who's rushed it for 349 yards on 39 carries. But my take for USC is Caleb Williams is going to get tired. And we've seen him get tired in other instances when he was in Oklahoma. So I'm curious to see if he's going to be able to keep up. My deal is here on the defensive side of the ball for USC. They are the 69th ranked defense in the country. And although some people might say, hey, that's an improvement from where they were, it's kind of inflated. I mean, you've played bad teams, and let's be honest, last week, you did not beat an Arizona State team like you should. You should have been glad that that game was really late into the evening so that national people couldn't see it. Now, I am not naive to say, hey, Colorado's defense is atrocious. I mean, they're number 125th in the country out of 130 teams. So they're not good either. My deal is here, this is a typical Lincoln Riley game to lose. Here at Oklahoma, did it all the time. He would let teams like Colorado be in this game way longer than they should be. And honestly, with a quarterback like Shadeur Sanders, who is pretty dang good, your passing defense, if you're USC, is allowing 377 yards a game. Although the Colorado Buffaloes don't have Travis Hunter to be a weapon on the offense, they've still got Jimmy Horn and Xavier Weaver and other guys like that. And this is a game where I expect US or Colorado to really find themselves in the running game. You're playing a USC team that's just not good on that side of the ball. You need to establish it there. That is one of the biggest pain points of this Colorado team. And if they would have had a run game last weekend against Oregon, the blowout might have not happened as much as or as big as we thought it would. Maybe Colorado only loses that game by 14. But the fact that they don't have a run game established and they have to rely on that passing game, it makes it crucial this week for them to get that established and gain some confidence there on that side of the ball when they're going up against a poor USC defense. So I don't know what your take there is on the run game for Colorado, but that's probably been one of the biggest pain points for Colorado fans this season to watch.
Yes, you are totally right, Preston. And we do have some good news regarding the run game. So the first thing is that, our top back, Alton McCaskill, hasn't really played coming off that ACL tear a year and a half ago. Freshman offensive player of the year in the AAC with Houston a couple years back. Big back, can pass protect. He kind of runs a little upright, kind of like, similar running style to Adrian Peterson. I'd say it's kind of upright, but has great vision, can pass, protect, catch. He can do everything. We saw him get in the fourth quarter last week just to kind of start getting comfortable. I am hopeful that we're going to see him more because, again, we haven't been able to run the ball like you've said. If we can just get a half decent running game going, and I'm talking about, man, even like 3.5 yards a carry to just take a little bit of pressure off of Shadeur, keep the defense a little bit more honest, it's going to allow us to do some more creative things with play calling. But yeah, Oregon, we are hoping to see some different creative running schemes. And I think that game just got way out of hand for us, too quickly. And we might have gotten away from doing some of the things that we intended to come in and do. But nonetheless, this is a time for us to really stress the importance of running the ball because Shadeur has been the most hit quarterback in FBS football. His father is not okay with that. I would not be surprised, keep an eye on this, Preston, to see an offensive lineman or two, new ones shuffled into the starting lineup. We do have some bigger guards that have been sitting on the bench that I would like to get some looks. So again, the interior line, it's going to be really important to get a little bit of success and confidence there. And then also with McCaskill coming back, one thing that I and a lot of other people have been asking for is doing some 2-back sets where we have Alt McCaskill back there. Dylan Edwards, our fantastic true freshman running back. He's a little smaller, 170 pounds, but has great speed. You can kind of do some interesting things with them, whether splitting him in the slot. He played the slot a lot in high school. We haven't seen him line up there at all yet. So I think we've left a lot on the table when it comes to some different jet sweeps using motion. Using motion can help kind of get USC out of position, as we've seen with the Alex Grinch defense, shifting constantly, before the snap. Sometimes it works to their advantage, other times disadvantage. And Sean Lewis, coming from a running-centric background at Kent State, I think we've been waiting to see a little bit more emphasis put on the run. I think, like you said, now's the time to incorporate a little bit of that, because we need to have a chance. Or in order to have a chance, we need to run the ball a little bit, control the clock a little bit.
Yeah, because that's USC's biggest pain point, right? They score so quickly that, as you've seen with Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, a K-State team easily beats Oklahoma because they can control that time of possession. And that's the key to beat a Lincoln Riley team. Let the offense score really quickly, keep that defense out on the field, gas them, because they don't have the guys to rotate. They don't have the competitive depth there. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, that's the recipe for an upset on a Lincoln Riley team. So I'm going to give 3 keys here to what I think Colorado needs to do to win this game. Obviously, we talked about it. Establish the run game. This is not only going to help you in this game, it's going to help you in the future. You're coming up in a schedule where you're going to have to play 2, I would say, down teams, Arizona State and Stanford, before you have to go play UCLA and Oregon State, where you could potentially split that matchup 1 and 2. And then you get to go play Arizona. I at the beginning of the season, I thought Washington State would be an easy win for Colorado. It's not looking like that anymore. Cameron Ward is looking really good. So you've got to be able to establish that running game to be able to get at least Arizona State, Stanford, and Arizona, get those 3 wins to get you to bowl eligibility. Then you don't have to really worry about the Oregon States, the Washington States, and the Utahs. You don't have the schedule that USC has. You don't have those giants in front of you. So that's going to be it. You got to get that run game established. Secondly, I want to see what the secondary looks like outside of Travis Hunter being on the field. They have now had not only a game without him, but they've had a whole nother week to prepare and maybe get Cormani a little bit more up to speed into that defense. The deal is, with Coach Prime's just absolute pure genius at that position, because that's literally what it is. He's a Hall of Famer. I expect that he's going to have a game plan specifically tailored to maybe even giving Caleb Williams a too high safety look, which we know Caleb Williams has not been successful in the past against, giving him a too high safety look to maybe try to bring him outside of the pocket and running that ball a little bit, or just throwing it into the safety's arms. Additionally, you mentioned it a little bit ago, the offensive line for Colorado. They have to protect Shadeur Sanders. You've got to be able to give him a little bit more time in the pocket, because you can't have him scrambling for his life every single time. You do those 3 things, or you do 2 out of the 3, you probably win this game against USC.
Yeah. I think it's huge to see how this secondary performs with their wide receivers like Branch, and actually Brendan Rice is making his return to Boulder, having started out his career at CU, being a Mel Tucker recruit. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge for us without Travis Hunter back. Travis J, I believe, has been working his way back from a knee injury. So last week was his first look or live game experience of the year, transfer from Florida State. Omarion Cooper has been playing, I think, pretty well. But yeah, it's going to be important for us to take advantage of USC's offensive line. Neither of these offensive lines are great. And I think whoever gets the better offensive line play will likely win this game. And another thing in the secondary to just keep an eye on, I don't know how much outside of like CU circles this is being talked about, but I believe Shiloh had to go to the hospital this weekend with a kidney injury after the Oregon game. So I'm not sure if he is going to play either, which will be a massive loss for our secondary. Be on the lookout for FCS All-American or All-Conference Roderick Ward, transfer from Southern Utah University. He's gotten a little bit of looks, but man, we really need him to step up in Shiloh's place, as well as the return of our starting star position player, transfer from Arkansas, Miles Slusher. So having some of those guys come in and fill in could be really helpful. I think safety is our deepest position group that we have right now outside of wide receivers. So, at least it's that position. If we're having to replace somebody, it's there. But I think it's going to be very crucial for us to generate some turnovers. We have not been able to stop our opponents from scoring outside of Nebraska, but we have generated turnovers every game. We did get Bo Nix, to give up his first turnover of the year. Maybe that can be the case for Caleb Williams, but that's going to need to happen in order to have a chance.
100% agree. 100% agree. And it's a pretty sad deal to hear about with Shadeur Sanders. Hopefully he is okay and can get back on the field soon, because he is an integral part of what Colorado is able to do in that secondary. So we will be keeping an eye out for that. So what is your score prediction for the game?
Man, I haven't even thought about a score prediction yet, Preston. I'll tell you this, because I guess I'll go from the betting line. If I'm approaching it as like I did my preseason predictions, I think USC gets the win. I do think we cover the spread, especially at home. I think this team will play much better here at home. And I think we had 3 very emotional weeks of football to start off the season. Not that that's making an excuse. We got our butt whooped. But, we might have just emptied the tank after having back-to-back very emotional weeks and battles. I'm hoping for a bounce back this week from my Buffs. I will say, if they get the win, I think they're going to pull away in the fourth quarter, man. I think they're going to catch UFC kind of off balance, so to speak. So I'll go to say either USC covers or CU's winning by a touchdown or above. That's the prediction I'll give you.
Well, I'm going to stick to my guns that I've had all season with this team. And although I didn't see, I said Colorado could go 3-0. I didn't necessarily predict it, but I did say this would be an upset game. And I did say everybody should watch out. So I'm going to say it. Colorado 52, USC 48. That's what I got. It's a shootout. It's a shootout. That's what these games are for Lincoln Riley. And I know this Lincoln Riley team all too well. And until they can show me they can do otherwise, this is going to be my outcome. It's just like Texas. I'm looking at this Texas and KU game, which I think you guys can see up here a little bit. I have a hard time believing Texas is going to beat KU in DKR this week. Lance Leipold is undefeated there, and this has just been the thorn in Texas' side, the Kansas Jayhawks. So, although I'm not sure if I'm going to pick Kansas to upset Texas this weekend, it's damn hard not to. So, but I am going to stick with my upset pick here with Colorado Buffaloes over USC.
Let's go. We need that energy. We need, looking at the season, prior to the start of it, this was like my most important games were Nebraska. And then the next most important to me is this USC game. Like getting this win, I think will be, so validating again, but we have a lot of work to do in order to get to this. We have to limit penalties. We had 12 penalties last week, 10 the week before. And then we have to limit, our own turnovers and mistakes as well. So if we can play our best coach football, like you just said, I think we can get the win, and I think hopefully the crowd, I'll be at the game on Saturday. We we play our part in helping rattle Caleb Williams and the rest of the USC Trojans football team.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. So, all right. Well, go ahead and tell everybody before we let you go, where can they find you one more time?
Yeah, again, really appreciate you, Preston. Again, your videos, watching yours kind of inspired me to get out here. I found you through all the CU recruiting videos, so it's greatly appreciated. And again, you can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Twitter X at David Talks Buffs. I'm pretty much talking Buffs every day. My thing for my platform is I just want to talk with a bunch of people. So if you come to my channel, you'll also be exposed to a ton of different content creators as well, whether it's from here in the local Denver area or all over the country. So please be sure to hop in and let me know if you came from Preston's channel. That would mean a lot.
Now, the question is, do you have plans to expand outside of Colorado Buffs football? Do you plan to talk about Denver Nuggets basketball or anything like that?
I would like to, man. I tested it a little bit over the summer. It's kind of a hard time to try to talk NBA sometimes during the off season. I was doing that with a friend for a little bit, but he ended up just not having time. So I think eventually I'd like to start branching out, doing some more things. But as you know, if there's one football team that is full of content to talk about every day, it is the CU Buffs. So right now I'm staying plenty busy. I think I've already pushed out over 400 videos, I think. So we're going to continue to focus on that for now, but it definitely is something coming up, I think, at some point in the future, talking some other Denver sports.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, well, we really appreciate you coming on. If you guys haven't already, you guys know what to do. The housekeeping. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're listening to this on any of the podcast platforms, leave me 5 stars. Give me a review. If you haven't already, you just need to go ahead and subscribe because you just want to be a part of what we're doing out here. But we will, I guess, see you on Sunday or Monday when we're figuring out whether I'm right or not on this prediction.